Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Ann Land Bertha Henschel Memorial Fund Commission meeting. Today is Wednesday, April 29th, 2026. Time now is 5:32 p.m. The meeting now is called to order. Will the clerk please call the roll to establish a quorum?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Members, if you please unmute your microphones. Member Coletto?
Here.
Member Contreras?
Here.
Member Malik?
Here.
Member Brown?
Here.
Member Stevens is absent. Member Ubag?
Here.
Member Seymour is absent. Member Beckman is absent. Member Rule is absent. Vice Chair Smith?
Here, except I don't have a microphone. I just looked and there's nothing here.
Oh, okay. We will ask.
Can I just swipe this one?
Yes, if you want to just move over to your left. Sorry about that. Thank you.
I'll just disconnect it and put it where I am.
Or if you'd like to just move to the left. Okay, that works too. And Chair Ellis.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
I would like to remind members of the public and chambers that if you would like to speak on an agenda item, please turn in a speaker slip before the item begins. After the item is called, we will no longer accept speaker slips. You will have 2 minutes to speak once you are called on. We will now proceed to the land acknowledgement and the Pledge of Allegiance. Please, if you're able, rise for the opening acknowledgement in honor of Sacramento's indigenous people and tribal lands. To the original people of this land, the Nisan Nun people, the Southern Maidu, Valley and Plains Miwok, Patwin peoples, and the people of the Wilton Rancheria, Sacramento's only federal recognized tribe. May we acknowledge and honor the Native people who came before us and still walk beside us today on these ancestral lands by choosing to gather together today in the active practice of acknowledgement and appreciation for Sacramento's indigenous people's history, contributions, and lives. Thank you. Please remain standing if you're able for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, we're going to move on to the consent calendar. Clerk, are there any members of the public who wish to speak on the consent calendar?
I do not have any speaker slips for this item.
Thank you. Are there any commissioners who wish to speak on this item? Thank you. Is there a motion and a second for the consent calendar?
I move.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. I have a motion by Commissioner Contreras, and then I have a second by Commissioner Smith. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? The motion passes. Okay. Moving on the agenda, we're going to move on to the consent calendar. Item number 1. No, I'm sorry. We're going to move on to the discussion calendar. We're on item number 2 under the discussion calendar. Is there a staff presentation?
Yes, there is. Welcome and hello, members of the commission, city attorney and staff. So today I want to present to you on the grant management system, since we're going to be talking about the grant process documents and everything related to the grant application for next year, 2027. So City of Sacramento, as of December of last year, has moved to all grants to this platform named the Grant Management System. And ANLA and Bertha Henschel Memorial Fund will be doing the same going forward. So we'll be using a different system than what we have used in the past. So the Grant Management System, or GMS for short, is the City of Sacramento's centralized end-to-end platform for creating, administering, applying to, reviewing, and managing city grant programs. It standardizes how grant opportunities are published, how applications are submitted, how reviewers score and evaluate them, and how staff track awards and reporting throughout the full grant life cycle. It can be accessed by visiting grants.cityofsacramento.gov, G-O-V. And then the thing about it is it makes things more consistent for applicants and predictable. So in the past, if different departments had grants, unless a specific organization was already in contact with that department, it would be difficult for them to find out about grant applications that were open. GMS just puts everything in one place. So no matter which department they apply to, applicants know where to go, how the application works, and what to expect. It creates less administrative burden as applicants can track applications, they can upload required documents, they can respond to checklists, and receive communications all in one place without having to navigate multiple disconnected systems. So moving from the application to their cloud services and email, et cetera. There's clear requirements and guidance. So we're standardizing forms, tooltips, program guidelines, et cetera, to reduce confusion and to help applicants submit accurate and complete applications. And also just improve transparency and fairness. Standardized scoring, blind review options, and consistent evaluation processes help ensure that applications are reviewed objectively and equitably. So you'll all have access to the scoring platform. We'll be sending you a training on this in the near future. Yeah, this just allows applicants to be able to apply to multiple grants from one place. So this is what the grant management system looks like, GMS. Community organizations or members create an account, and then they can see grant opportunities in there. So they would click right there where it says grant opportunities. And that will take them to this page that will show them what grants are accepting applications. Now, this screenshot was taken a few weeks ago, so some of these applications may have closed since I took this and prepared this presentation. But the neat thing about the system is you can see there's different departments that had applications open at the time. Also, if we're accepting applications through other methods, other systems, they are also listed there. So you as an organization can see all the different opportunities we have. And if there is a grant that is coming up in the near future, it'll be listed at the bottom where it says upcoming grants. So it is really neat and accessible, and it allows, like I said, organizations to just be aware of everything happening, or as much as possible, from one place. For this new system, what we've been encouraged to do is to publish the grant application ahead of time. This is just a mock-up. It is not actually published yet, but the idea is to publish the grant maybe a month before the application opens so that organizations or entities interested in applying have an opportunity to look at requirements, gather those requirements, and start gathering information for the application ahead of time. So this system allows us to do that, to publish the application. They still are not allowed to apply. As you can see up there, it says the opportunity is coming soon, but applications are not being accepted. So again, to create a more equalized or equitable approach to grant making, right? We're allowing people more time to see the opportunity, gather what they need, and they could do this through the GMS system. Any questions? Commissioner Smith?
Once ours is opened up, will our application form as we've as we've decided what it's going to look like today, will it look just like that, or will it be tweaked to fit inside the system somehow, or what is it going to look like to our applicants? Are they going to see something they've never seen before, or are they going to see something that looks familiar to them?
So if, let's say we were to approve the exact same questions we've used in the past today, it would look pretty similar to what they've done before. The website will look slightly different. It has checklists. So let's say one section is asking about finances. It'll be one section for the finances portion of it, and then that'll be a checklist. They'll complete all those. They can save it and continue later. So let's say they don't have access to finances, they can complete the portion on past history, for example, or what services they provide. So they're able to complete sections at different steps of the way. They can save, come back, which in the past I don't believe they were able to do. They had to complete the application at once. But now GMS allows them to save it, but the questions will remain the same. It will look slightly different, and in the August presentation, based on the discussion today, I'll actually bring the application so you can see what it's going to look like for the public.
That's great, thank you.
Any other questions?
I have a question. You mentioned scoring.
Correct.
So is the scoring going to be the same?
Yes. Again, so basically everything we've done in the past is just getting imported into GMS. It's going to look different. So for you as commissioners, like I mentioned earlier, you're going to receive a training. We're going to send you a tutorial. Basically what we do is we load your information in the system and we register you or sign you up as panelist. And you're going to get an email invitation letting you know, hey, you're being invited to score applications for the Alan and Bertha Henschel Memorial Fund, 2027 grant cycle, or whatever year it is, right? Then you need to accept, and then when you log in, the GMS is going to look exactly like what we saw, like what it looks like for the organizations, but you're gonna see my panels, and then it's gonna show you, okay, these are the applications I need to score. When you click into each organization's application, you'll be able to see all the information, all the documents they've uploaded, again, everything in one place. And then it asks you the different questions that we usually score on, right? So alignment to funding priorities. And then you'll be able to enter your different scores. At the end, GMS just calculates all the overall scores, it ranks it for us, and it does everything automated. We can, after you score online, then take the scores out and put them in the form that we've used in the past. If that's what you decide, that's what the discussion is about today. But we can just move completely to GMS and use that for scoring. That's what we've done for other grants.
So in our meeting, if through asking questions and that kind of thing, we decide we want to raise or lower a score, we can still do that day?
Correct. We would just need to make sure you have access to the system if we want to do it all in GMS. Otherwise, we can have a printed copy like we've done in the past, and then after the meeting, I would go on and update your scores in the system so they reflect what we discussed in the November meeting. Correct. Commissioner Stevens?
Thank you. Great presentation. Job well done. My question is, when we do enter the score, are we going to have a notes field if we have a question? Will it only be the numeric score? Would it only be the numeric score, or we'll be able to add notes on the side?
I believe at the moment it's just a numeric score, but you can't keep notes on the side. I can ask our grants team to see if it's possible to add a notes option on there, but I don't have the answer yet.
And in the, once we finish the numeric score, at the end of the scoring, are we able to put notes there?
Yes.
Okay.
Commissioner Brown?
How will we get access to those notes when we do the in-person, if we have questions to ask? Do we need to bring our own set of notes from those notes, or is it something that can be just given to us?
Both, right? So it's going to depend on the availability of, I don't know if we can have some sort of device where you can be looking at it, or you can be logged into your own account. If not, what I'm going to do basically is what we've done in the past, where you submit your stuff online, and then I print it out for you, and I have it for you at the meeting, right, in paper. And I'll be basically extracting your notes from GMS, putting them into a spreadsheet, like we've done in the past, and then providing them for you at the meeting. This is a fairly new system. It's still sort of in beta phase, parts of it are. We've been working with it for a couple of years now. It is a lot better than it used to be, but there's still improvements that need to be made, and if we find that that is one of them, I'll make sure there's a way to bring you your notes so that you can have them available at the meeting. Commissioner Stephens.
Okay, with that said, during the last, during our last session, when we were giving out the grants, I noticed that there was a lot of different way people came up with their score. I believe in hindsight, if we would have had an opportunity to discuss how they came up with those scores or what they were looking at, because I personally didn't know that I can go and search that out, search this out, look at this, look at that, and that probably would have affected the way I was scoring. With that said, as he mentioned, will we have access to our notes? I want to know, will we have access to the commission's notes so that we can see how they're basing their assessments, how they're basing their score? Or is there a session to where we can have, where we can discuss that? I don't know. I'm still new on the panel, so forgive me for all the questions, but that is one of the things that I noticed at the last time we did the disbursements.
Yeah, so per GMS, you're not able to see other people's information, right? So it's just like a blind panel. You enter your scores, and it's tied to your own login information. So I would have to give them access to your login so that they can see them. So to answer that, no, you cannot see the other commissioners' scores and notes to see how they're scoring. That said, in today's item, we do have the scoring matrix, which is what you base your scores on. So it will tell you if it aligns loosely, it's like a 0 to a 2. If it's, it gives you their different levels of alignment or answers to each question and how you would score it based on that. So we do have a matrix that we're going to be discussing for this item today.
I'll also add, if you wanted to see the commissioner's notes prior, we'd have to publish it with the staff report. So we could compile all the commissioner's notes and put it in the staff report for you to review a week ahead or so. It would just be published publicly. So you know, if you want to put notes in there, and if you do want to review them beforehand, they will be made public.
I just think that if we're truly doing the work of the community, that sometimes collaborating or having conversations, I know that conversations can only go so far, but I just think that education on how people are coming up with their scores would be truly helpful to the process.
Yeah, I would definitely encourage commissioners to talk about how they went through the process last time when we're going through the scoring matrix to give some insight in how everyone individually is scoring.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
I personally would not advocate for everybody seeing my notes, because I write really cryptic notes on my scoring thing. But also, that's part of what's supposed to happen in the November meeting. If somebody scores a 0 and somebody else gives them a 9, you could ask that person that gave that score, because you can see who issued the score. I gave them a 0 on this one. Can you help me understand why you think they deserve a higher score? And you can have that discussion. The issue is we can't have discussions amongst groups of us, because all of our discussions have to be done in public under the Brown Act. So we're very constrained about the kind of conversations we can have outside of these meetings. That's part of the reason why we have that scoring rubric that helps you read that part of their application and then look at, okay, this is what we're looking for, this is what they said, where does it fall in that, 0 through 9 score? But that's why we have that, is to help commissioners make that connection and make that evaluation, because we can't talk about it outside the meeting.
As I can appreciate your response, I'm going to respectfully disagree, and I'm just going to leave it that way. Thank you, though.
I think also GMS has the option of, let's say the scoring question for you is talking about location, right? Geographic location. You can tie it to a specific question so that when you're scoring that, you know exactly what answer they gave to that specific part of it. So it will show you what the applicant said about that specific question.
Quickly, I'm going to jump in here with the clerk's office. Just a point of logistically, if you wouldn't mind queuing up on your screen so that chair can call on you, so that one, we can keep track, but also for the recording. Thank you.
Haley, can you just briefly instruct commissioners on what that means, just so they all know?
So on your screen, if you tap on it to wake it up, or if you have the presentation open, if you tap on it one more time. And then at the top, it says request to speak. If you would like to speak, you can click request to speak. You'll be added to the queue. The chair will then see your name and call on you to speak so that we can keep in the order. And then the recording for the video will have your name on the screen. Are there any questions? Okay. And if you have any issues technically, you can click the little question mark at the bottom right, and it'll let IT know to come out and help you.
Okay.
In the topic of GMS, do we have any more questions about that? Okay, I will pop my information on there for the public to see for questions in regards to the Anland application, Anland and Bertha Henschel Memorial Fund application, and then where they can find information about it online as well. Thank you.
So I'm going to go back and, ask the clerk, are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this item?
Thank you. I do not have any speaker slips for this item.
Okay, thank you. Okay, continuing on with the 2027 grant cycle dates, forms, and process.
President Ellis, I have a request to speak.
Okay.
I have a question for Harbin. Can you clarify whether or not what I said about our ability to discuss outside the meeting?
So when you see it in the queue, you can call on him and then select next speaker.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Harveen Gill with the City Attorney's Office. Yes, we should not be having communications of this body outside of body meetings. That's kind of like the short answer for it. What we are trying to do is avoid hub and spoke communications, daisy chain communications, because any business of the body we wanted to have in open and public meetings.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Commissioner Stevens.
Thank you. I just want to give clarification. I understand the Brown Act very well. The question specifically was, could we, the commission, not individuals, meet to talk about how responses are given? My question still stands, but I will wait for the matrix. I am very well educated in the Brown Act. But my question is, can one of our meetings be used to have that discussion so that when we're sitting in front of the public, we don't look ill-informed when we're doing conversations about their grant?
Sorry, this is really awkward with this very large mic, so I apologize with it moving. Yeah, so kind of like a two-parter. The way I was understanding it was like, can we have conversations outside of publicly noticed meetings, which I would ask you not to so we don't violate the Brown Act. And in terms of whether you as a commission want to discuss matrix and grading and how you do the scoring within a publicly noticed meeting, that would be fine. I believe the procedure for that would be with our staff to the commission as well as putting it on an agenda. But I do believe on this item, we have the item that you're currently discussing. There is a motion to discuss the grading matrix and the rubric, but I know that Brian and Renee can speak to that. And I'll turn off this very large mic now.
Thank you.
So yes, we will be discussing that today, and then we have a meeting also in August. If we need to pick it up again in August, maybe we can get that on the agenda. We can just see how that goes.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Okay, we all have our packets here for the application process, and the first item in the packet is the community needs assessment for 2027. The Sacramento Community Needs Assessment is a collaborative focus where major hospitals, they partner with nonprofit organizations to identify, prioritize, and address the community health needs. So we can use this as a guideline for our funding priorities. So right now, our funding priorities are food, shelter, and transportation. So I had an opportunity to look at the community needs assessment, and what I found was mental health was a big one as well. So it is my understanding that if we wanted to, and I just need clarification, if we wanted to add mental health or just leave it as is according to our charter, I think we can add an item or pull a funding priority. So I just want to make sure that everyone has an understanding of what the community needs assessment is, and it's like a guideline for our funding priorities. We can leave the funding priorities as is, or if we want to add a funding priority, we can. Can a staff person, Brian maybe, or Renee tell me if that is correct as far as adding to the priorities if we can?
Yes, you can remove items from the priority list, or you can add items as the commission sees fit, yes.
Okay. So one of the things, like I've mentioned, was mental health. We can vote on it, but I would like to put it on the table to add mental health as one of our funding priorities. Do any other commissioners have a thought about that?
If I may, through the chair, if we add a component for mental health, can we please add an item for how that works with assisting and aiding the destitute men, women, and children for the city of Sacramento? As you all are aware, the wills and trusts for Ann Land and Bertha Henschel describe that the fund should be used to help the destitute. So if there is an emphasis on mental health, I ask that we do a tie-in to showing how it is assisting and aiding the destitute. Thank you.
Okay, I just see it as this, the funding needs, this assessment said that there is a need for it. So I guess I'm not quite understanding how. I mean, people like homeless people may be in a crisis as they're getting food. They may need some mental health services as well. So I'm just thinking as a wraparound service. I mean, we do include wraparound services. So that is how I'm looking at it.
Sorry, this is so awkward. I feel like I'm like doing a Vegas show with this. No, that would work. We just want to make sure we're staying within the trust and will guidelines. So if you do wraparound services, or if you have some sort of discussion or sentence on how it does aid the needy, then that is perfectly fine.
Okay. I would like to hear from fellow commissioners on how their thoughts about it. So I think next in the queue is Alex, I'm sorry, I deleted it. So what's your last name?
Brown.
Commissioner Brown.
I was just thinking, like, with mental health services, I feel like that would be included within the wraparound services, so it wouldn't need to be added as like an additional funding priority. We can just like say it's
Okay.
wraparound services.
I don't know if I've gone out and or saw any proposals, and maybe they have been there, which, that they said they're including as part as the grant mental health services. So I could be mistaken. But, so what I'm hearing is you don't think it should be added as a funding priority. You see it as already as part of the wraparound services.
Yeah, I don't know if we can change like maybe not change it, but just say, maybe on a personal, like, as you're grading, like, oh, this includes it, so maybe as a wraparound service, you want to rank it higher, but like, not necessarily putting it as,
Okay.
put it on paper as a wraparound, or as a funding priority.
Okay. Commissioner, I'm sorry, were you done? Okay. Commissioner Seymour?
Hi, thank you. I like the idea of adding mental health to the funding priority. It is a wraparound service, but I do like the idea of maybe specifying it or making that a specific funding priority. In addition to that, I'd like to, I guess, petition to add youth services to the funding priority, only because of, in my work outside of the commission, I'm noticing that we have more homeless youth in the city that are experiencing homelessness or addiction at earlier ages. So that's something I'd like to maybe add as a funding priority, is specifically for youth wraparound services, or maybe programs that offer youth housing specifically. I know it gets pretty tricky, but I think it's worth a shot.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Smith?
My question about specifying mental health is that that's usually a person giving mental health services to someone, and we traditionally, and it ties back to the reason that we exist, don't fund staff costs. And mental health in general is a staff cost. So when we fund people like the St. John's Program for Real Change, that it's housing, it's job training, but it's also a lot of wraparound services, education, transportation, mental health services, that kind of thing, that are all included in the services that are provided at that site. I think Weave is similar. There's several that we fund that we give them money for food or for, rent support, but they also, for their residences, provide those wraparound services. And it keeps us out of then funding a mental health counselor, for example, which we typically don't fund people. We fund food, transportation, housing, that sort of thing.
Okay.
So that's my 2 cents about adding it. Is I think it needs to be connected to a basic human need for people who are destitute in Sacramento County. And as a standalone, I think it goes better with other things that we do versus having a standalone, because then how do you measure that?
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Ubach?
So I agree with everyone's thoughts that mental health is a very big issue right now, but I'm also understanding that mental health is a professional, at least my understanding. A lot of these nonprofits, are they equipped to, the smaller nonprofits that we funded, the ones doing, after-school programs, are they equipped professionally to provide mental health? So I really agree with Commissioner Smith on, I don't think it should be a funding priority, but somehow maybe part of something.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Ubach. Commissioner Seymour?
So with funding mental health as a priority, that does make sense if we were trying to limit, if we were trying to basically limit it for funding a mental health professional. So if we do add it to the funding priority, is there a way to maybe specify where we're funding things specifically like the cost of treatment for the individuals or the families or groups that are receiving mental health services, and funding things like medications? So focusing less on the side of funding mental health staff or professionals for these organizations or staff cost, but making sure that we're still providing some sort of means of funding for the actual mental health services and treatments themselves, not the staff, or trying to fund programs that may be unqualified to provide those services. I don't know how that would work, but if there's a way to maybe specify that if we do decide to make it a funding priority, that probably saves us a bit of a headache.
Thank you.
Sorry, hi. Just to speak to that, I think one thing to consider is the average award amount, right, for our grantees is around $8,000 to $10,000. So while I think it would be more effective to specify tools or resources or medication, for example, it might not be worth the bang for your buck to do so, just to put that out there. So just something to consider, but you could do it. You would just have to be really specific in the application, like what are you doing that is not staff services that will provide mental health resources or tools to youth and families or whoever.
Well, I don't see any more commissioners on the queue to have, oh, you are? I don't see it. Oh, okay. Go ahead, Commissioner Contreras.
No, my question, I agree with everybody about the mental health and everything, because it's a problem here in Sacramento. But my question is more of a point, of just clarification to me, because it says here on the community needs assessment for 2027 review, on the very bottom, it already says Sacramento County Mental Health Service Act. So what's the difference? What does that mean? That what we're talking about now doesn't align with the Sacramento mental health?
This is, from my understanding, is just a report from the Sacramento County Mental Health Services, how they are compiling their information about the status of mental health in the city of Sacramento.
But it has nothing to do with our fund or what we do?
Yeah, that's correct. So, sorry, I'll unmute. So the county every year, like all counties, they get the millionaire's tax for mental health, and they have to produce some reporting around it. And I think the staff just gave it to us as another data point on needs, in local needs. But that's a county report, so it's a separate fund than ours.
Okay. All right. I'll figure it out.
To the chair, my other thought was, if we did want to, maybe specify or call out mental health somewhere, I think as one of the other commissioners said, hey, I consider that part of wraparound services, but maybe we want to say wraparound services such as mental health, or including mental health services, so that our grantees kind of know that, and so that it's clearer to the commission and the public.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Commissioner Smith.
So, Naveen, is there Harveen, sorry, anything in the Anline and Bertha Henschel Fund establishing documents that might help us address this or clarify it for us?
I don't know if there would be anything within the wills or trusts specifically, but if we go to Sacramento City Code section 2.64.020, which is the authority for this commission, that basically just and as well as the powers and duties, That essentially just says that this commission will administer and disperse the income of this commission and memorial fund for the benefit, aid, and assistance of the destitute people of the city in such manner as deemed proper and beneficial. And so that's why I was adding that if we do want to include a funding priority for mental health services or mental health care, that there is some kind of hook to say that it is for the benefit, aid, and assistance of the destitute.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that there is a consensus regarding mental health, but how we will implement.
There's what?
Pretty much a consensus about there's a need for mental health services. And it was my understanding to possibly include it as a wraparound service and specify mental health. That is.
And I think what we should do is define wraparound services. Maybe in this document, agree on what wraparound services are. Because you call out mental health, then what about other things, things other than mental health that we've always considered wraparound services, like counseling for victims of violence or those kind of things. I'll go back to the St. John's Program for Real Change that has counseling for women who have been battered and for kids who have seen their one spouse batter another spouse. Education, job training assistance, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Those are all wraparound services that aren't just mental health. But they include mental health. I'm not against mental health at all. It's a definite need in the community, but historically we've focused on basic human needs based on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which basically is food, clothing, shelter, a feeling. I don't remember them all. It's been too long since I've read that. But when this was developed, this idea of looking at these community assessments and determining annual funding priorities, because I was part of that 8 years ago, it was basic human needs. So it's not, for people who are not able to meet their minimum subsistence needs or lack access to assets needed to escape from poverty.
Okay.
So anyway, I'm okay with it being a part of wraparound services. Mm-hmm. I'm concerned about calling it out because it makes it sound more important than the other wraparound services, or the other types of services for like food, shelter, clothing, security, stability, that sort of thing. That's my point.
Okay, I do understand your point. But I do think that mental health is a basic need, and we'll take a vote on it just to see, but I do feel like it is a basic, times change. I just feel like it is part of the basic need. Mental wellness is huge now. So if we agree to incorporate it in as a wraparound service, I will be okay with that. I'm just one. Oh, okay. Commissioner Malik.
Yeah. I'll unmute it there. Perfect. I think the discussion we've had here is really important about mental health, and I think we all are on the same page that it's going to be a really important priority as we're grading the applications that come in for this cycle. I think I was going to echo some of Commissioner Smith's thoughts on the specificity within wraparound services. I almost say, like, if we call out mental health, there's so many others like youth services that I would want to include. And so to almost avoid the exhaustive list within the funding priorities, I think wraparound services leaves some wiggle room for the organizations that apply to get grant funding to determine and let us know what those wraparound services that they provide are, versus them trying to, meet the criteria that we're specifying when they might not actually adhere to that funding priority and might have something else that's equally as important. And so I almost wonder if it might be helpful for when we do end up grading these and scoring them with the matrix that we're deciding today, that we keep like the mental health services, youth services, all these in mind, so that I know personally when if there's an organization that specifies mental health and shows how they're going to use the grant money to address that, I know personally I'm going to be scoring them higher because I do think it's a basic need. And so I don't want to limit ourselves to calling it out within the wraparound services, just because I think a lot of the, for example, housing advocacy organizations that do this work are really already pretty focused and have a good understanding of, mental health needs, youth services needs of the populations that they're interacting with. But I'm always happy to defer to anyone else if we think it would be really helpful. But just wanted to add that in.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Seymour?
So it sounds like we're all on the same page, but what I was kind of curious about is maybe the idea or the possibility of putting on the agenda for the meeting in August, some more focused time to discuss things like funding priorities, but then also kind of talk more about wraparound services and maybe things that traditionally haven't been included in wraparound services, or just things that we're noticing that are becoming more of a need within the city of Sacramento and how it would apply to the work of the commission. Just that way it gives us more of a cushion to talk more about it and then brainstorm. So I was going to see if it was possible to add that specifically to the agenda for the upcoming meeting in August.
Commissioner Coletto?
I was going to propose a compromise. Okay. So what about, housing with a focus on services that pair housing with wraparound services that support physical and mental well-being, to try to give us the flexibility while also calling out what some of those wraparound services would support.
What did you say again? Physical, and I'm writing it down.
Oh, just adding at the end that support physical and mental well-being.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Stevens?
I agree with Seymour, sometimes taking a step back and then really thinking about our purpose, because we need to make sure that we stay in alignment with the ANLAN reason for the funding. And I think that we will do ourselves a great disservice by just rushing to, let's just do this without going home, thinking about it, coming back to the meeting, and being prepared to have a true discussion, maybe come up with some samples of wording on how it all ties in to present, so people, when they are filling out the applications, can make sure it's something that they can do. Because not only do we want to make sure it's something they can do, but we have to make sure that they have some measurable outcomes. Like, what will be their measurable outcomes to show that they did the work? And that's something that not only do we want to add it, but we need to think about the measurable outcomes from what they're doing. So I'm in agreement with, why don't we make it an agenda item for August to come up with the right verbiage.
Okay, thank you. Where I'm at right now, because we're spending a lot of time on this one item. Oh, I'm sorry, I see Commissioner Smith now. Go ahead.
I have a question for staff. We are scheduled for 4 meetings a year, and it's my understanding that we have to approve these things in this meeting in order for them to go out to the grantees so that they can apply and get their applications in timely. So when we meet in November, we have complete applications. So I believe, just from looking at it from my history, that we have to make these decisions tonight. That's the purpose of the meeting, so that these documents are ready to send out to our grant applicants.
Yes, so the goal is to pass a motion with some of the updates that you'd like to be included in the 2027 application. I know last year we did it in August. We were a little bit behind on that, so we are bringing it back to our normal schedule of having it in April. So ideally, we would like to have this implemented, or we would have the feedback and pass a motion of what you would like to be included in the application. Needless to say, you do have the option of us taking the feedback, maybe including Commissioner Coletto's, change of language to move forward and bringing it back for a final look and pass that application at that point, right? So you have a little bit more time, I would say with minor edits. And you would have to trust that we as city staff are gonna capture those and implement it into the application, right? So option one is we move forward with the language proposed, housing with the focus on services that pair housing with wraparound services that support physical and mental well-being. We'll include that in the application and we'll move forward. If you wanted to have a second look at it, technically we can bring it back in August to see if you want to adjust it. Additionally, I would say if you go with option one, I don't think, I think you do have room to start this discussion if you want to look at the full scope of, what the intent of Ann Land Bertha Henschel is in August to start those discussions earlier for fiscal year 28, if that makes sense. So maybe we find this happy medium today, right? And that's how we move forward for fiscal year 2027. But I think then we can still have a discussion in August that will lead into our fiscal year 2028 considerations, because we'll be talking about this a year from now in April doing the same thing. So maybe you do need 2 discussions to do so. We can facilitate that in August if you'd like. So I think I presented 3 options there, but that's just my 2 cents for city staff.
Can I just add for context, our August meeting is scheduled for the 26th, August 26th. And as of right now, the application is scheduled to launch August 31st. That's when it would open and we would start accepting applications. So we would only have about 2 business days to make changes before the application opens. Not saying it's impossible, but I just want you to have all the information so you can make an informed decision.
Thank you for that. I like the suggestion of adding physical and mental well-being and moving on. I think that would encompass everything as part of this conversation today. Okay. Do I just keep moving on until at the very end I make a motion on everything we discussed? Okay. So let's move on to the application, the 2027 grant guidelines. Okay, before you in your packet, you have the grant guidelines. Brian has highlighted some dates and some other things in the application for us to take a look at. I know that I have some questions, so I'm just going to go ahead and start. The highlight where it says Friday, first page of the application, where it says, staff will provide notice to applicants to submit any missing documentation by Friday, October 9th, 2026. Well, you know what, I'm sorry, I skipped. Let me go back. Let's start from the beginning. The online application, just look at the date. Let's just take everything. I apologize for skipping over. The due date is Monday, August 31st, 2026 at 8 a.m. And then the online, that's the date, and then the application deadline is Wednesday, September 30th, 2026 at 3 p.m. Do any commissioners have any questions about the deadline date? Or Brian, did you want to speak on your deadline date?
Well, historically, 2 years ago, the commission asked for more time to score the applications because they used to only get 2 weeks to get through 900, 1,000 pages of the applications, right? So last year, we moved it to 1 month. If we make the application due on September 30th, then that gives you enough time in the month of October to go through all the applications so that you're ready for the November meeting.
So I have a question about the October 9th date. There isn't a time. Do you need a time for that, or is that just close of business on October 9th?
We can add a time to that.
I just wanted to know if that works, since you're going to be collecting everything.
Correct. By close of business on that day, that would be when I would need everything submitted by the agencies so that their application's still considered.
Okay. Trying to keep my notes here. So what you're saying is you will add close of business to this part here.
Correct.
Okay. Bear with me, I'm just writing down notes. Close of business, okay. Let's move on to the next page, if anyone doesn't have any questions. We have some more highlighted dates, 2027, 190,000, and then the 8,253. I have a question about the 190,000. That is, I think, what we had last funding cycle. How do we know that's the same for this funding cycle?
So the reason why it's highlighted is because that will be updated for the August meeting with the final number. We'll have the presentation from the budget, is it budget? Treasurer's office, who will come and give us the actual numbers, and this will be updated. So this is just what we had last year. The average is actually what we used for this year. That's, it went up from the previous year. For this year, the average amount, it's 8,253. So that one is correct.
Okay, so going back to, when will we find out what this number, you talking about at the funding meeting? That's when we're going?
At the August meeting.
At the August meeting.
Correct, before the application goes live.
All right, the next thing, there was a section in the application that talks about COVID-19. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. The third bullet point, where it says required online application attachments. If you go down to the third bullet point, it's the very last sentence. There's no charge for nonprofit organizations as the revenue counter is currently closed to walk-in services due to COVID-19. Does that still apply, or can it be removed?
That can be removed, yes.
Okay. Just bear with me. I have to, when we get ready to call the motion, to have this. Okay.
It will be updated, but they are closed Mondays and Fridays, and they have certain hours a day, so we will put those days down.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, moving on to the next page, we have some more highlights there. I'm looking at the date funds available, that last highlight. It says December 2025. If we can get that updated. And what will that date most likely It says written notification of the commission's decision will be emailed to all applicants on or about December 12th.
Yes, so that will be updated to December 11, 2026.
Okay. Can we go back to that first date, January 1st, 2027? It says grant funds are expected to be available to successful applicants on or after January 1st, 2027. I know the office is, can you explain that date, I guess? I guess I'm a little confused. Could it be like no later, like the January 15th, or why is that January 1st date there?
It just means that funding, it's available for that grant year and not before, so like December. We still need to have a fully executed contract to process payments. So we don't want to say by January 15th, because if they don't have a fully executed contract by that date, then we wouldn't be able to meet that deadline, correct? So it just gives us wiggle room to pay them after the first of the year, which is when when the contract becomes valid.
All right. Moving on to the next page. I just had a thought, it's just a thought, where the contact information, I just wanted to know what was everyone's thought about adding a website there. I just find it helpful, like when I'm researching the different organizations, trying to find out more information about them. I like to find out, more about them by going to their website. So I was wondering if we could add like a number 5 and say website.
Yes, we could. We'll just have to make sure on our end it's not a required field in the case that the organization does not have a website. So we can add it. We'll make sure it doesn't have to be a required field, because if it does, we'll just say put NA or something like that and make sure we can do that logistically on our end. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. I think that completes the application. Oh, I'm sorry. Commissioner Ubog.
I'm wondering if we could add to the grant guidelines. I came across a situation when I did my visit to the site this year. They didn't know that they were required to submit a report. So I'm wondering if we could insert that in here somewhere. Is it there? Oh, submit annual, okay. Then never mind, it's right here.
It's also in the grant emails that they get. They get it like 5 times.
It's just, there's a lot of turnover with the nonprofit, so someone who started the grant might not be the person taking over at some point, so if it's just all in one spot, then.
And I just want to note, we do send them notification 15 days, 7 days before the reports are due, so that they're aware. And then when it's due, and if they're late, then when they're late, so.
Moving on. Oh, I'm sorry. I gotta keep watching that. Commissioner Stevens, I'm sorry.
Is the notifications listed in the application or the guidelines, that how many times a notification or how the notifications happen, so that the organization is aware of how when to expect these notifications? So they'll look at it, also because some of the emails may be going to people's spam, So they should know, we should be getting an email in 2 weeks, so make sure we're checking all areas of our emails to make sure you're getting them. Timeline of notifications listed in the guidelines.
So we don't have like a notification schedule on there. GMS does it automatically, so they'll be automated, and it'll be constantly reminding them that it is due.
Can we ask within the application an alternate email address as well, so that more than one person is getting the email? Because I was kind of disappointed to notice last year when we were doing the disbursements, how many people were missing on that day. And I'm wondering if the emails are only going to one source, and as the other commissioner noted, there's a high turnover, so maybe that person didn't forward that information. So if we can request an alternate email address or alternate contact, we can make sure that the information is being communicated outward.
What I did notice on the application that may be an alternate email, because they do ask for 2 email addresses, the primary grant contact and an authorized representative. So I'm seeing 2 email addresses. Do you think that's not enough? Or are you asking for a third, or?
In all honesty, I would just leave it as another option for someone, because I know that when I was trying to reach my site person, there were 3 turnovers. And I had a hard time trying to find a person that's now in place. So the more information that we can get up front, the better. So even if we ask for their board of directors, the president, the treasurer, the admin, we now have a list of alternate ways. So, because me and Brian literally had to dig to find the person that took over. So, and this was in the Justice Department. So, it would help. I know that when I go out, we list the board members. So maybe we list the board members, the president, the vice president, it sounds a lot of work, but again, if we're really trying to get a hold of people or know who's who, this is a great way of doing so.
I think if the commission agrees on an adjustment to the application to say primary contact and add an alternate contact, Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, in GMS we could add that. Maybe it's something you propose to the commission chair. Ellis, for you to include an alternate or not.
Okay, I see primary grant with an email address, authorized representative with the email address. I just want to make sure I'm understanding. So you want to add alternate, a separate line saying alternate email address? Yes, ma'am. Okay. Commissioner Smith.
So I understand I've had the same problem trying to locate somebody at an organization that had a lot of turnover. Who do we send the emails to now? I think that's a good place to start, is understanding what the current process is. So when you send these emails out saying, here's this, we need this back from you, who do you send it to, the grant contract or the authorized representative, or both?
So all emails go to the grant contact. The authorized representative is only contacted for signing the contract. So they only go to primary grant contact unless they're the same.
It sounds like maybe we need to either ask them for a secondary grant contact email, or give them the opportunity to add their authorized representative in number 4, to add that email address to the notifications. So which do you think would work better?
I think we could include both and just not make the alternate required, so that if they have an alternate, they can add it, but if they don't, there are some where the authorized representative is the same as the grant contact. So we can add an alternate just as a third person and just make sure that we're emailing all three every time we email them.
So that would be an alternate name and address, correct?
Correct.
And email address, okay.
I think that would be helpful, given, like Commissioner Seymour talked about the turnover. I also had a comment on questions 4, 5, 6, and 7. And 10 and 11. Those are not worded as questions, but the sentences have question marks at the end. So we should either word them as a question or we should take the question marks off. So, you know, as they say, like, describe how your program objectives align, that should be a period, or what are your program objectives and how do they align, and then that's a question.
What numbers were that again? Number 4?
4, 5, 6, 7, nope, not 7. 4, 5, 6, and oh, you're right. So 4 and 5. Let me look. I thought there was one on 10 or 11. No, 10 or 11 are okay. So just 4 and 5. Should just be,
Unless you want to make updates to the application questions, I think an easy fix is for us just to add a period.
right. No, I'm not saying change the questions. I'm just saying swap the question mark for a period. That was my only comment. Thanks.
Okay. Before we go on to the matrix, are there any more questions about the application? Okay. I want to push matrix to last and move on to the pre-meeting score. I just saw these names here, and I just wanted to make sure that this was just put in as a draft, because I don't see all the commissioners' names here. This was just noted as a draft. Okay.
Yes, that's correct. These are all drafts, and they will be all updated for the August meeting. That will be the final version.
Final in August, okay. Okay. Now I want to go back to the matrix because I felt like that was a question. All right, matrix. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and start this, and then we have our historian, Commissioner Smith. Okay, so the matrix, it was designed to evaluate specific criteria using a numerical system. The primary purpose was to remove bias from the selection process to ensure consistency in the evaluation process. So as you're reviewing the applications, you will use a scoring legend and you assign a number to that.
The scoring legend is actually after the summary matrix. Somehow, they're not in the right order here, but there's a scoring legend that's the third page of the matrix.
So,
Looks like this.
yes. So before you have the matrix. And then there are like, I think there's 11 categories. So as you're looking at the application, you're going to be looking at the matrix and see if the applications are in alignment or not in alignment or moderate alignment with the application. Each one of these, I think, for the most part, is self-explanatory. Like for number 2, where it says fit with the Inland Bertha Henschel Fund purpose. Well, we know what the purpose is for destitute men, women, and children. So if we get an application that's for, I
Dog
don't
food.
know, spaying dogs.
Dog biscuits.
Yes,
We
dog
got one
biscuits.
time.
Yeah, we know that that's not in alignment with our funding purpose. Do anyone have any questions? I
The
see you-
factors actually
Yeah.
line up with the questions that are on the application.
Commissioner Smith, can you put yourself on cue for us so we can track? Thank you.
Oh, it shows I'm the current speaker.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so we have 1 through 11. I hope everyone had an opportunity to look at each one. Do anyone have any questions as far as what do each one of these means? Questions? Okay. Well, I guess the matrix. Oops. Commissioner Stevens?
So, as an administrative person, my thing that I would like to, when I was sitting at home scoring everything, I have a staff request. When you send the packets out to us, what would be helpful if the matrix is included in the packet, okay? When you include that matrix in the packet, make it a fillable document. Why do I want that? Because if I'm doing everything online on my computer, I can research, do what I need to do, go point that in, save and close, go to the next one, save and close, go into the next one. Anything that I state today is all office, clerical, administrative things. You guys do an excellent job. I just think that for us as commissioners, which time is very tight, these little small conveniences are big conveniences to help with the process. So if we can make these documents fillable, like the big document, the one in the back, this will be so easier. I made it fillable for me, but I'm quite sure if the other commissioners had that, it would make life just a little bit easier for us to administratively complete what we need to get done. That's my first thing, and I'll be quiet, so if you want to comment to me on that.
Yeah, I think we can do that. Just so you know, it's going to look a little bit different. So we can provide the tools, the matrix as a fillable sheet and the scoring sheet as a fillable sheet. Just know you're not going to be receiving the applications in a packet anymore because you'll be doing it through the grant management system.
Got it.
So we can provide you that tool. You'll just have to make sure you put it in the grant management system, which you're already saying. So I just want to make sure I clarified that. So yes, we could do that, but you won't be receiving the application separately anymore.
Okay. So I'm sorry if I missed that earlier, I apologize. So that was one of the biggest hurdles that I had last year, is that I said, you know what, Kim, make this a fillable document, and each one of the applications I did, if I went to my computer right now, I have a fillable, the application, a fillable, the application, just to make it easier for me to track and complete the process. And now that I feel like I'm a small veteran, watching the whole process come through was a huge learning experience. And I would just hope that in August, we can just run through it again to make sure that it's not even just that we understand the questions, but how the questions apply according to the Inland grant. So, but I will be quiet and say thank you. That was it for me.
Okay, Commissioner Ubach.
I'd like clarification on something that I came across last year. When I was looking at the nonprofit, or whoever, the application, and I would go to their website, and the first thing that I would look for is their office, because they have to be in Sacramento. But then some of them said, well, yes, we're in Elk Grove, but we piggyback on services with someone in Sacramento. Is it their office location that matters, or only where they're providing services?
For me, I like to see where they are providing services. You'll get a clearer picture of what's going on, where you can see and talk to, people that are overseeing the program, or sometimes I even I talk to people that are part of the program. So for me, as I go out, I like to go and see where the services are being rendered.
So it doesn't matter if an organization is based in Elk Grove, as long as they're going to provide services in Sacramento?
Yes, I know it says the city of Sacramento, but if there is an organization in Elk Grove, and then the services, the funds are going to like a food bank. Let's say the corporate is in Elk Grove, they have a food bank in Auburn, and they got a food bank in Sacramento. And since it's within Sacramento, yes, we would go ahead and accept that application and fund, because they're having services in Sacramento. Okay, Commissioner Brown.
Piggybacking off that question, in our guidelines, is there like a rule that it has to be headquartered in Sacramento? And then also, additional question, are we requiring them to prove that they are, if they do have like multiple places they service, do they have to prove that it is, that the money that we give them is being spent in Sacramento? That's the
So I'm just quickly turning to the work plan to see if it specifically states, but city attorney, feel free to chime in if you find it before I do.
Yes, it does say only nonprofit 501c3 organizations that have an office or facility within the city of Sacramento and serve destitute residents of the city are eligible to apply.
Yeah, Commissioner Brown, so I think that would mean that they would have to have a physical office location in the city of Sacramento, which we will review as we're going through the applications initially.
Okay, I guess I stand corrected. I thought we have funded, and so we've never funded an organization that.
I can't say historically that we've never done it. We may have, and, they just slipped through the cracks essentially. But I think now that we're aware, we'll be sure to ensure that they are a city of Sacramento business and listed as such.
Okay, Commissioner Seymour.
So kind of the same question basically for the city staff. So does that encompass if the organization has actual facilities that are providing services in Sacramento? Would that technically count as their office too, or what is the legality of that? Does their main operational facility have to be from the city of Sacramento, or would they be eligible still if the facilities that they were physically providing services at were located in Sacramento? So I'm thinking things like any sort of like home, halfway house, or like shelter facility.
Yes, that would meet the eligibility requirements if their facility was in the city of Sacramento, that they are receiving funds for specifically. Yeah. And upon your site visit, you would be able to tell yes or no.
Commissioner Smith.
We have had places that had an administrative office. I think we had one either last year or the year before last, where they had an administrative office somewhere else because they had sites in several cities. And so all of our stuff was mailed to El Dorado Hills or LA or whatever, but the specific site where they were providing service was in the city of Sacramento. They only provided service to people who lived here. So the big thing is, where are the people that are getting helped? And they have to be in the city of Sacramento.
Okay, so for clarity, I thought that I remembered that happened where there was an office outside City of Sacramento and we fund, and then Commissioner Smith can recall, but yet what I'm hearing is it's a no, so I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page, that it is a no if the administrative office is in Elk Grove, but they have like a site in Sacramento.
So the site would be considered the facility.
Right.
Yes, so that would make them eligible,
That's
even
what
if
I
they
was-
have an administrative office in Elk Grove.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I was referring.
So say, let me just give you an example. Elk Grove Unified, right? They're going to have an address in Elk Grove, but they want to do services at Coloma Community Center, and that's the site of service, then they would be eligible to provide those services and receive funds.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. Oh, Commissioner Ubach?
Not to be nitpicky, but.
It's okay.
So it says, a copy of your organization's current business license from the city of Sacramento. So if their business license filed is city of Sacramento, then I think that puts them out.
I might be able to answer this because my department issues the business licenses. So anyone who does business in the city of Sacramento has to pay the business operations tax. So if you were in Elk Grove and you had a city contract, for example, you would pay the BOT even though your place of business is in Elk Grove. Does that make sense?
Yes, then they.
So anyone who does business in the city of Sacramento would have to pay our business operations tax, our gross receipts tax, if they're generating the gross receipt here.
So just not to confuse you, that bullet point specifically is talking about the business operating tax payment that they have to make, not necessarily whether they're in Sacramento or not in Sacramento. There is an exemption sometimes that we include for like a small business or for City of Sacramento operating employers or organizations.
And I think if I understand the question correctly, is whether that makes them eligible automatically. It does not, because they could have
Correct,
a BOT, but if they're trying to render services in Elk Grove, even though they have a business license from Sacramento, they would not be eligible unless their services are being in city of Sacramento, correct? But they do need to have it to be able to enter in the contract and get paid.
Your question is specifically, if they're in Elk Grove, your question is, if they're in Elk Grove, and they don't have a business, a standalone, a building here in Sacramento, are they eligible? Is that what your question is?
No, so I guess I'm just looking at on their website, if they're saying their office is in Elk Grove, but, so then I'll automatically say, oh, well, they're not eligible. How would I know that, without doing extensive research, where they're going to piggyback onto somebody in Sacramento?
So in the application, you'll see location, and they'll identify what district they're planning on serving, and then farther in the application, it talks about the services that they'll be rendering. So they would have to explicitly state, we are rendering homeless services in Land Park, or, you know, wherever the case may be. The business operating tax is a separate thing from that. That's just, they have to have it no matter what if they're going to conduct business in Sacramento. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. If there's no further questions on, Commissioner Stevens.
So to put clarity across the table for everybody, let's say we're doing a multiple events, right? But we're based in Elk Grove, but all of our events are in Sacramento, the city of Sacramento. Are we required per this and land, because that's all we care about, to show evidence of the event being held here in the city of Sacramento? Are we asking them, a part of the application, to fulfill the requirements to show evidence of? Are we requiring them to do some type of documentation to show we went to 24 and 30 Florin and we did feed the unhoused? And then we went to 6600 Bruceville and we had this. Are we asking for that type of documentation to show that the money that we gave them actually went to the city of Sacramento individuals and not to the Elk Grove location? That's
Yeah,
just
so-
a clarity question.
Yes, they would have to state in the application where they'd be serving, and then they'd also have to report on it and show evidence of such in their reporting.
But with pictures and videos is what I'm asking. Not just
I
in,
don't-
not just in text documentation, but evidence of, like, take a picture of the door, or, and I'm just using that as an example, you guys, don't nobody come for me. Take a picture of the door to show that I'm actually in South Sacramento in District 8, District 7. Are we asking of some type of documentation to show evidence of the event in those specific districts? Because if we're just taking, no offense to anybody, if we're just taking their word, how do we know that they're not in Elk Grove doing that and they're just saying that they're in the city of Sacramento? And I don't know if that's the question that you're asking, but it does make a difference.
Yeah, I think that's going to be reflective in the reporting. I don't have the reporting questions in front of me right now, but we can take a look at those and make sure there's something in there that, you know, shows further evidence that they are doing the services where intended. So I'm going to have to get back to you on that once I have a chance to look at the reporting questionnaire. Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the funding awards matrix. My memory serves me right. What we typically do with this is we add up all the scores in descending order. And then, let's say the first block, I'm just using this from the top of my head. Let's say the first block of scores is 500 to 550. Then we'll say, okay, we will fund 100% of those. And then the next one is 449 to, 300. Then we'll say, okay, we're going to fund 40%, and then so on and so on. Commissioner Smith, can you help me out with that? I think that's how it, if my memory serves me right, that's how it went.
This is a rough draft of a tool we use. We put the applicants in order, in numerical score order, and then we look at where are their basically cutoffs between, like, the top 6 may all be getting scores that would be, give us the opportunity to give them 100%.
Right.
And then there may be a break of 50 points. So it's not that there has to be the same number of people in each one of those categories. It's that, and we always adjust the percentages. Last year it was 100%, and then the second one was like 90%, I think.
And we went down to we
And,
kept
yeah.
going down.
We went down, and then we didn't give awards to anyone that was under a certain
20%.
amount.
I think it was 20%.
Yeah. So anybody that had a score of under 20%, we didn't give any money to. So, and if we had more money left that we had not given out, we give out more to the people at the top, because our score sheet is designed to show who provides the best response to our grant application. So we don't want to spread extra money amount around to everybody. We want to spread it first to the people who were the most responsive. And so we've had years when we did 100%, and then the next group got 95%, and the next group got 90%, and then the next group got 75%. So we play with the percentages, and we don't play with the scores, of course, and the amount that they requested to get us to 100% of the money we have available to give.
Okay.
So this is kind of just a picture of a tool we use, but it's not at all how it looks when we're done.
Right. Okay. Do anyone have any questions regarding this matrix tool? No.
You have a question?
Commissioner Stevens?
Once again, this year, well, last year, this year, was a little learning, I'm sorry, thank you, was a learning lesson for me. So, a couple of questions. This form, is this something that all of us should be completing on the day of the disbursements, or is there just one assigned person, and this is just here for kicks and giggles as a guide?
No, Brian will be doing the adjusting. I mean, the scores, it'll be on the screens behind us, so everyone in the room can see what's going on. But as we continue to adjust, Brian will be adjusting the numbers. Did I answer your question?
No, you did. I was just wondering, so technically, we should be concerned about it, but this is not our lane. This is something that staff handles.
Right, we have the input on as far as what the percentage is going to be, but Brian will be displaying the numbers.
And this process, is it also explained so the grantees understand what we are doing, so it's fully transparent? Because I know when I was up here, I was just like, ooh, how uncomfortable is this? You're rating me right in front of people.
Well, yes.
And
go ahead.
I just thought that we could have did it a little bit more, a little respectful more to people, because it, to write a grant, and I don't know if anybody's ever written a grant, it's a lot of work. And to have your work, done that way, I felt that we could have did it just a little bit better in our conversations, in our presentation, the way that we handle that. That, for me, I was not comfortable in the way that we did it. Not that the process should not be done, but I was uncomfortable the way that it was done. I felt that we could have did it just a little bit better, a little bit more explanation if it was not given to them, because I know it wasn't given to me. It was all a shock, the way that all this was unfolding in front of my eyes. So I was very uncomfortable with that.
Well, thank you for sharing that that experience made you feel uncomfortable. That surely is not what we aim to do. But, there are going to be times where we're discussing something, we're not understanding something, and, we're going to have some conversations back and forth. It's just, we all are individuals, we have thought processes, and we're here to have an open conversation about it. So I didn't feel like it was, I respect your feelings, but I didn't feel like that there was anything rude going on. And I can understand that they're sitting there and they're thinking, oh no, am I going to get funded? Am I not going to get funded? Oh, my percentage went down to 20. Oh, I didn't get funded at all. But that's just the nature of the process. So that's how I'm looking at it. If anyone wants to chime in to give her a more of a response of how they felt it went,
Let me put a little clarity on something. Thank you. That's not my issue. Because I'm going to give an example. Cosby Show, right?
What?
The
Cosby Show? Is that what you said?
I'm just about to give you something, right? It's all in the presentation. I can fix you your favorite meal, and I can serve it to you on some fine china, and you'll be like, oh, thank you. Or I can fix your favorite meal, go out to the backyard and get a garbage can lid and put your favorite meal on it. The favorite meal is still there. It's all in the presentation. So it's not that we did anything wrong or we said anything wrong. It's all in the presentation. And what I'm saying to you is, as a commissioner sitting here, I didn't even know what to expect. It was all surprisingly to me. So for me to be one of the ones that these individuals are looking at, and I'm like deer in the headlight, like, oh, what are we doing? We're talking about people's work, and we're talking about how this and how it's just all in the presentation. And I'm saying that we don't need to change the process. I'm saying we need to change the tone and delivery, educate the audience. What will happen is, now that you've all spoke, now that we all reviewed, now that we have your the ratings, now what we're going to do is we're going to calculate, we're going to place according to this calculation. You may have thought that that's what was happening because this is something that most of you are used to, but as a new kid on the block, it was I just felt that we could have delivered their favorite meal a different way.
Okay.
It's all in the presentation, that's all I'm saying.
So what we could do, I do believe that we give an explanation of what's going to take place next, but we can word, next, we're going to have a discussion, we're going to come up and ask you questions. I mean, we do say that if there is a question that a commissioner needs from a representative, we bring them up. So I do believe that we do give an overview of what's going to take place. I just feel like we've done that, but if you feel like that did not happen, we will make sure we give more of an explanation of what's going to take place. And this is going to take, there's going to be some back and forth, but there's going to be some discussions. Please don't take the discussions personally, but we need to make sure that we are funding in the best interest of the community, or something like that.
Yeah, just keep them well informed, that's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Let them know what to expect when you walk to the table. Hey, you're gonna have this, you're gonna have your appetizer, you're gonna have your main meal, you're gonna have your dessert. We want them to know, we want them to come back. We want them to feel loved and appreciated, because filling out grants is a hard job, and along with doing community service. So that's all I wanted to say on that.
Okay, thank you for that. Commissioner Malik.
Yeah, I think maybe to the point that you were making, Commissioner Stevens, maybe one thing we could do is in our next meeting. I know during the November funding meeting, we have to decide how many are we funding at like the 100% level, how many at the 80% level. And I know we don't have the number finalized of how much in grant money we have to allocate, but I remember that Brian, you mentioned that we will have that by August. So I'm wondering, once we have that number, maybe one of the agenda items is we can sit down and say, we'll be able to fund the top, 20, for example, applications at 100%, the next 10 at 80%. So we already have that predetermined, because I know like during the meeting, we were trying to figure out that allocation. So maybe if that's possible to have, once we have the set number, we'll already be able to go into the meeting and say, we're just gonna throw in the scores, whatever comes out at the top. We already have decided the top 20, let's say, are getting 100%. And then we can go as follows so that we don't have to move the needle around during the meeting.
Yes, and the funding awards matrix is not part of the application, so that is something that can be updated before the November meeting. It doesn't have to be ready by August 31st. So if you all decide in the August meeting after the Treasury's presentation, oh, actually, we want to do it this way, or hey, Brian, can we figure out how many we can fund at 100%, et cetera, and do the breakdown, then I can bring it ready in November. And that way, it's already predetermined, and they already know, okay, top 20, top 15 applicants are going to get, and this is how it's going to go.
Thank you.
Commissioner Stevens? Okay. Commissioner Smith?
So the issue with trying to get it filled out first is there's a whole lot of variables that take place at the time of the meeting. So for example, we may all score somebody super high, and this happened last year with 2 or 3 applicants that are some of the highest scorers we had. They didn't show up, so they disappear, and that changes the calculation with everybody. as part of us asking questions of the applicants, we also, we may get some clarification, and this happened last year. I got clarification on something that I had rated, and it completely changed how I rated them. It moved them up several points in my rating. And then we have to combine all those ratings to get to the final rating number that fills in that third column. And so I'm not sure how much good doing a preliminary awarding would do, because so much can change during that meeting.
Okay, thank you.
I'll be really brief in the response. Sorry, just to clarify, I wasn't suggesting to rank them, but in the August meeting. I was just hoping we'll have a better sense of how much money we have, so we know we'll fund X number of organizations with this much money. So totally heard.
Thank you. Okay. I don't see any more commissioners in the queue, so let's try taking a vote on this. All right. Okay, Brian, I have to call off everything. Okay. All right. Do I go ahead and make the motion? Brian, I have, yeah.
I believe you can. I'll defer to clerk's office, but I do believe all changes need to be under the same motion, correct?
Yes, you can make the motion, and we can do one motion with the edits as discussed.
Okay. I'm going to try this with my notes. And help me out, commissioners, if I miss something. Okay. So I make a motion for the 2027, okay, I make a motion that the 2027 grant cycle dates, forms, and process. The first motion would be to change the funding priorities to include physical and mental well-being. On the application to include the close of business for Friday, October 9th. To remove the COVID-19 section under, do I have to specifically say? Under required online application attachments, to include the date funds available would be December 11th, 2026. To add a website, to add an alternate name and email address. For questions 4 and 5, add a period at the end of the sentence. And I believe I included everything for that process.
I believe we were adding the office hours as well, to where it said COVID-19.
Oh, okay. Oh, gosh, do I gotta say this all over again? Take out COVID, add office hours. Okay, to remove COVID-19 to add the office hours. Do I take questions now before, is this, okay?
You need a second.
I see questions in the, speakers on the queue. Do I just go ahead and keep going and then go back to the commission, to the?
If that's everything that you feel is captured, you can have the motion be on the floor,
Okay.
and you can move around to folks as you
Okay,
wish.
okay. So that is the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second. Oh,
Okay, so Motion made by Commissioner Ellis and second by Commissioner Smith. Okay. Oh, no, we got to vote, okay.
It's up to the chair. You can take the vote now. I can do a roll call now, or if you'd like to entertain the speaker in the queue, you may.
Commissioner Brown.
Quick question. When the first point, you said you're gonna add the priorities to be, what was it?
Physical
Physical, mental health.
and mental well-being.
To clarify, we're adding that to the second bullet point of wraparound services, not like an additional.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, that's all I needed, thank you.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. Commissioners, if you would unmute your microphones, please. Commissioner Coletto.
Yes.
Commissioner Contreras.
Yes.
Commissioner Malik.
Yes.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens.
Yes.
Commissioner Ubag.
Yes.
Commissioner Seymour.
Yes.
Commissioner Rule is absent. Vice Chair Smith.
Yes.
Chair Ellis.
Yes.
Great. The motion passes.
Okay. So we are moving on. Did you want to? No, we're moving on. Correct. Okay.
One point I'd like to bring up is we are coming up on 7:30. So if those who haven't done this before, we do need to have a vote to extend the meeting past 2 hours. So if you'd like to do that now before the next discussion item, I recommend it.
Okay.
Otherwise, we do have to stop at 7:30.
I'll make a motion that we extend the meeting to complete our business.
I'll second it.
And it can be up to 1 hour, right?
Correct.
I'm not suggesting we take that hour,
Right,
just to be
okay.
clear.
Okay. So let's go to the,
We have
You need to
We have to
vote.
vote on
oh, sorry. Okay.
So I have a motion by Commissioner Smith and a second by Commissioner Seymour. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstained? Great, the motion passes.
Okay, the last item on the agenda is updating the site questionnaire. Okay, the reason this has come up is because during the last funding cycle, there was some bottlenecks as far as delayed and timely receipts of funds and some concerns about, contracts being executed in the time frame that we had established. And based on some of the feedback that we got from the grantees when we conducted our site visit, I thought it would be a good idea to capture some of the administrative information with the goal of strengthening the administrative process. When we go out, we do get the program information, but just trying to figure out where was the breakdown and how we can make it, easier, as far as administrative side. So that's where that is, came from for me. So one of the questions that I would like to have is, yes.
I'm in a crunch right now.
Okay.
If I leave, would that mess up the quorum? Because I do have to leave by before, right?
We'll be good.
Will be good?
Yes. And we'll see if we can get this done in the next 10, 15 minutes max. Let's
Okay, well,
try to
I
go
have-
for that.
I have to go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So one question that I wanted to have, and we can vote on, is, according to your contract, the first disbursement is to be made 5 to 10 business days after contract execution. Did you receive your disbursement within the time frame? If it's yes, fine. If not, what caused the delay? So my concern was some organizations said that we couldn't do our programming, and then the funding was extended. and there were some concerns about late payment. So that is the question that one of the questions that I want to propose be put out there on the new questionnaire. Another question that I wanted was, how would you describe your experience interacting with fund representatives regarding responsiveness, understanding of the program, challenges, and building working relationships? And this is what everyone, this is even with commissioners. So that's where I was coming from, and I just wanted to know if anyone else had any questions as well. Commissioner Brown.
Oh, I like your second question. The first question, I feel like it really wouldn't benefit us, because like we would know how fast it would get dispersed through our team over here. But I don't think it would, if we just asked like, hey, why was it late? Or was it late, or was it on time? And then how did that affect you? Like, we know it's not good. And then it's like, we already know if it was late or not. So I don't really think that particular question would benefit us. It just might kind of irritate other people.
When you say we already know, are you saying that when you don't know until you go out, though?
Well,
you know.
Wouldn't he be able to tell us if it was dispersed? At what point it was dispersed?
No, Brian doesn't tell us. No. Or do you?
Well, I don't necessarily give you the dates when they were dispersed, right? But I do provide an update on all contracts have gone out, payments have been made, or, half of the contracts have gone out, half of the payments have been made, et cetera. Payments usually take about 15 business days to be processed. There is also the mail carrier, right, that we can't control. So we process the payments as soon as the contract is fully executed and we get notified that it's been filed. But then once for example, I had a CBO last year whose check was mailed out in September and they didn't get it until February. And it was post-dated September, so they know that we did actually mail it out. So those are things that we can't really control. But we do have a general, I keep track of everything, right? When payments were submitted for processing at that point, there's not really much I can do personally.
Okay.
Commissioner Stevens?
Okay, so last year, again, my first time doing a site visit, I was not prepared. I didn't know what questions to ask. I did not know the boundaries of what we should state, what we shouldn't state. So my suggestion is to give us a toolbox, and I don't mean an actual toolbox, of resources for commissioners. When you go to a site visit, this is what you should do. This is what you shouldn't do. This is what you should say. This is what you shouldn't say. And then in regards to the questions, I'm like him. I don't really want to dive into a hole that I really don't have a firm answer on. I'd rather, let them talk to me. Like, how was it going? When the funds came to you, how did you disperse them? When I went to Next Move, I walked around the facility, allowed them to just brag about what they do, why they do what they do. And as they were doing that, it helped me to understand their goals and missions and, and their measurable outcomes. And not only did I write a feedback on what they told me, I actually gave them an opportunity for them to, with the same questions, I had them to give a response, and then I took it just to make sure that I didn't miss anything. So I also want to say that, when we are having a site visit, send them out the questions so they know what to be prepared to ask, to answer. So that will also prepare their mindset on, because maybe the director of the organization is out of town and she has Sally Sue to step in and help her. She may not know what to do, but if we send the questions out and we say, this is some of the things that we may be asking you, not that we have to stay to the questions, but this is some of the things that we may ask. Just be a little bit, to learn more about them, learn about what they're doing, why they're doing it, how they're doing, not to give them no advice because it's their bragging time, and to just let them be who they are. So I think that for Kim, not for everybody here, I felt like I could have been better at serving them if I had known the boundaries of things. Not that it didn't go well, y'all. I had a very good time with them. We had a great follow-up, but I always want to look at how does it look to the person that's receiving my information? And what can I learn from them more about how to present the questions? So let them ask, send it out to them, let them answer the questions, and then when we go, then we have a good conversation. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Commissioner Smith.
I agree, Kim. That's a great way to get them to think about what you're going to ask before you visit. I've done the exact same thing, and they always say, no one has ever done this for me before. Thank you for doing that. And so that's a great way to get the kind of input that you need. I would like to see a way, I always ask, besides these 3 questions that are on here, I always ask a 4th question, like, can you describe for me any issues you encountered in the process of applying, in dealing with the staff who manage these grants? Did you get answers to your questions? Talk about when the funds arrived, how that affected you, and just kind of leave it open to them rather than a specific question. Just say, can you address any comments you might have on our process, our communication, and our distribution of funds to you? Anything that you might be able to add that will help us do better next year?
Thank you, Commissioner Smith. I do like that question, and, I don't know if everyone, the questionnaires, to me, is a guideline, because there's 3 questions on there, is a guideline of what questions to ask, and you have the freedom to ask additional questions if you like. I understand, Commissioner Stevens, where you want to know exactly what to ask and what not to ask, and maybe that can be put on the agenda for August, where we get more in-depth due to time. But I would like to see that question, the way you put it, to be like a standard,
Want me to say it again just the same?
as a standard question. I didn't write it down when you said it.
I didn't write it down either. I made it up.
Okay.
I have it. Can you describe any issues you had at any point during the grant process? Application, selection, contract, disbursement of payments, et cetera.
I like that to be an added question. But if everyone can remember to have that on their own, then.
Well, if we can add it right now, and they can send this out to us.
I like
for
that
us to
question.
use, because some of us, based on the conversations, have already started site visits.
Right.
I usually wait till May, and because I knew we were talking about this, I haven't done any yet. So
Haven't done any either.
I'm happy to add one or add questions, whatever people want.
And I just want to say, for Brian, the work that you do is important. You have a lot of contracts that you're dealing with. But it was just that for the first time of being on the commission, I was hearing, things like, we didn't get our funds and, the contract. And I'm like, okay, what's going on here? So this is just trying to find out what is going on. So just so you know, your work is appreciated, what you do. But when we go out and we hear, I could not implement this program because I did not get the funding, then it makes me just question, okay, what's going on? So I just want to share that with you.
So Brian, can you read that question back again.
Yes, the question is, can you describe any issues you had at any point during the grant process? Application, selection process, the contracting, or disbursement of funds?
I think I used the word communication in there somewhere. But,
We can add that too.
okay.
Okay. Any more discussion on the questionnaire? Oh, no, not it. Commissioner Brown.
I do have one question. Did you, when the question that he phrased, did you make it so, or did he say issues? How many issues? Can we like a more neutral word, like experiences? Yeah.
Improving our,
Yeah,
I agree.
that's all I got.
So what about something like, do you have any feedback about the grant process, application, grantee selection, contracting, disbursement, communication, et cetera?
I just feel like issues was a bit negative.
And we have to put a motion for this?
Are there any other questions you have?
I don't see any more questions in the queue.
So that's the only one that's going to be added.
I do want to note for the record that we don't have any members of the public with speaker cards.
Okay. Should I say the motion?
You could just say to update the.
Arlene's shaking her head yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, so, number 6? Okay, I make a motion to add the question, do you have any feedback about the grant process, application selection, and communication?
Yeah, contract, disbursement of payments.
Contract, disbursement of payment,
Or communication.
and communication.
Seconded?
Okay, and I have a second by Commissioner Malik. Okay.
Please unmute your microphones. Commissioner Coletto is absent. Commissioner Contreras is absent. Commissioner Malik?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Commissioner Ubach?
Yes?
Commissioner Seymour?
Yes.
Commissioner Rule is absent. Vice Chair Smith?
Yes.
And Chair Ellis?
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes.
Okay, so this concludes today's agenda. Thank you, everyone, for your participation. The meeting.
Quickly, we do actually have 2 more items on the agenda. We have commissioner comments, ideas, and questions, and public comments matters not on the agenda.
Okay, is that on my agenda? Yeah. Okay, all right. Do we have any ideas, questions? Okay, are there any public comments?
I do not have any speaker slips for public comment.
Okay.
Matters not on the agenda.
Thank you. All right, are we set here now? Did I do the, okay, we're set. Okay, well, that concludes today's agenda. Thank you, everyone, for your participation. The meeting is adjourned.